Good afternoon and warm welcome to everybody. And I'm very happy to be here today to present this micro irrigation techniques for arecanut cultivation. And today being Ganesh Chaturthi, I would like to wish each one of you a happy Ganesh Chaturthi. And with that, we will start. This is a very important topic, particularly on micro irrigation. And I'm very thankful to agricultureinformation.com to give me this opportunity to present. And this is my 8th presentation for them. So we will be conducting this particular session or the meeting under the following topics. So we will first understand what is micro irrigation, why it is required, what are the advantages of micro irrigation in arecanut, then followed by the irrigation products from Premier Irrigation that are available, how is the layout, and what are the packages or practices that are required for effective cultivation of arecanut, particularly the crop growing and harvesting season. And then we will look at water management, which is the most important part in this session. And how much is the water required for arecanut and what method of irrigation is useful. So we will be looking at this. Followed by that, we will look at also a very key important part which is often neglected is the installation and maintenance of a drip irrigation system, and followed by some field photographs which we actually have seen success, particularly in Karnataka and parts surrounding. Now arecanut is being grown predominantly everywhere. So the first question, why do we need to have micro irrigation? Micro irrigation, as you all know, or commonly known as drip irrigation, is a very efficient system. It uses very little water and energy and farm input. It is a productive system. You can have a higher output with a lesser input, and the profitability is fantastic. And it is a versatile system. It can be used for many crops, any kind of crop today. And we are all talking of sustainability. Sustainability is a very important part. We have to have, for the increasing population that we are today, we have surpassed China. So we need to have smaller, higher increase in yield in smaller areas. So every drop counts. So if you look at the website of Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, which is the base for all the things, the studies that have been conducted over the last few years, it has been found that there is a 20 to 48% saving in irrigation water in open field condition. And the saving of energy can be as much as 10 to 17%. And the saving of labor cost, 30 to 40%. You know, labor is a very important thing today. We are not able to get labor in the field. Serving of fertilizer, the irrigation system can also carry water soluble fertilizers and pesticides. That is easily around 11 to 19%. And the most important is the productivity, because we know the farm areas are all becoming smaller and we need to increase the output per farm. So 20 to 38% increase even in the output. In addition to all these advantages, we have found that there is an improved distribution and uniformity of, because the water is directly applied into the root zone through the system of pipelines. So therefore, the fertigation and the pesticide and application is very efficient. And we don't need to depend on whether the weather is there or not, we don't need to worry. So there is a very less risk on the weather part of it. If you do flood irrigation and apply a lot of fertilizers, you are going to involve fertilizer leaching problems. That will not be there. We can also use recycled water for crop production. Today, many airports, many places, you go to a country like Israel, you go anywhere. Today, 90% of the water is recycled and used, and it is used through drip irrigation. So drip irrigation can be used for this kind of situation. We can also use drip irrigation on any kind of terrain. It could be an uneven topography, it could be a hilly area, it could be a plain land, everywhere micro irrigation. So all these advantages, all of you are aware, but I thought I should recollect it before I actually start my presentation. Now let us look at the drip irrigation layout for a arecanut system. The layout of the drip irrigation system typically consists of three parts. That is, you have the components which are actually near the water source and the pump. Every irrigation system will require a water source and a pump, followed by the non-return valve. A non-return valve, why should you provide the non-return valve? You are applying water-soluble fertilizer into the drip system. That will prevent the fertilizer from going back to the water source. And then you have a bypass system. A bypass system is again required. If you have excess water or excess water to be diverted somewhere, definitely you can have a bypass valve. And then you have a set of filters, which I will be discussing a little later. You are seeing you have both the primary filters and the secondary filters. So the water that is coming out from the water source needs to be filtered. And after the filtration, it gets into the main line and the sub-main line. From the sub-main line, it is getting into the polytube or the lateral lines. And from the lateral line, it will get into the drippers. And the dripper will be giving the water directly into the root zone of the plant. So this is what is the main thing. We are not going to fill the whole area with water and flooding the soil. The roots need to breathe. So we need to give just enough water, and that is possible. And for a plant like arecanut, which is very, very important to give the water exactly at the root zone, drip irrigation is really a boon. Now let us look at the next micro irrigation system, which is a sprinkler irrigation system. Today, sprinkler irrigation system is also very, very popular, and it is the oldest system. Premier Irrigation takes pride in having brought in sprinkler irrigation system into India. You can see the sprinkler irrigation system also has a water source and a pump. And again, you need to have a bypass in case you have a higher horsepower. You need to put back the excess water into the water source. You can have it. And then if it is a micro sprinkler or a mini sprinkler system, you definitely need to have a filter and have a fertilizer injector so that you can apply the water soluble fertilizers. Here, when you come to the pipeline network, here the change comes in. The change will be the main line and the sprinkler lines. And from the sprinkler lines, you have the riser pipes with the nozzle outlets. And on the nozzle outlets, you will be able to connect the portable sprinkler or the micro sprinkler. So basically, you are creating artificial rain. The water is going to throw everywhere and it is going to cover the crop. So both drip and sprinkler can be used for arecanut depending on conditions. If arecanut has got intercrop with many other crops, then sprinkler becomes more economical. Now, conventionally, how is arecanut irrigated? In flood irrigation, what happens? You are sending a lot of water and wasting a lot of water. There is a huge loss of water by seepage and percolation. The efficiency is very, very poor. It is 30 to 35% only. But if it is a micro irrigation system, the water is directly going into the root zone, then efficiency will be as high as 90 to 95%, and even up to 97% if it is going to be a subsurface drip irrigation. So here the arecanut plant you are seeing, typically for an arecanut plant, we have to provide two drippers, one on either side. You have a lateral and then you have to provide two emitters. We can also go in for mini sprinkler irrigation system. We can also go for double inline. I will show you the photographs. Now let us understand how drip irrigation is better than flood irrigation. See, flood irrigation, let us look at the plant. In flood irrigation, the roots are going to get, the whole area is getting wetted, number one, and the roots are all getting spread all over the place. And a lot of water is going down. So you're wasting a lot of water. So the root growth is not uniform. Whereas look on the right side, when you look at the drip irrigation, you are giving the water in a confined zone and giving it exactly where it is required. It is called spoon feeding. You are giving water right at the root zone. And look at the growth of the roots. The roots, the feeder roots are all uniformly clustered, and the plant growth is also very good. I would give courtesy to the particular reference that has been given over here. It is an excellent depiction of how, when we change over from flood irrigation to drip irrigation, how the root zone development is going to happen. In sprinkler irrigation, particularly for arecanut, it is very, very common to see that whenever you visit, particularly the Malnad areas or the areas in South Karnataka, you will find arecanut is predominantly grown, and in arecanut you will find 2-level, 3-level layer of crops. You have sprinkler irrigation system, and then you have many intercrops that can be grown. And sprinkler also creates another advantage with sprinkler irrigation is it will create a microclimatic control. So if it's a very hot day, you can bring down the temperature by increasing the humidity. So, and here the efficiency is between 70 to 85%, as high as 85%. So farmers practice both drip as well as for sprinkler irrigation system or mini sprinkler or micro sprinkler irrigation system for arecanut. You can see the photographs, how well the growth of the plants are. Now let us look at arecanut production in the world. So who is the leader in India? Karnataka is the leader. Karnataka state is the number one state having a production of this. The figures from National Horticulture Board in way back in 2018-19 itself, we were growing more than 517.35 thousand metric tons. So, and you can look at the share, we are having a 63% market share, whereas Kerala comes next with 130 and Assam is a close third with 77.9. In the world, again, when you look at arecanut production, India is again number one. We have an harvested area of 4,95,000 hectares that is there in India, and followed by Bangladesh, Indonesia, Myanmar, and Taiwan. So here, these figures have again further increased because now arecanut is called the gold crop. The kind of returns that you can get in case of arecanut is fantastic. And that too with drip irrigation, the yields are very well improved. Areca is botanically called Areca catechu. And the soil that it requires is very, very critical. It requires a well-drained soil with a low water table. Typically, when you go to malnad areas, you will find lateritic or lead-loamy soils or alluvial soils. They are the most suitable. When it comes to the climate, it requires a well-distributed rainfall. And the temperature range for growing areca should be between the range of 14 to 36 degrees centigrade. And the altitude typically up to an altitude of 1000 meters, it can be grown. And propagation arecanut typically is propagated through seeds. So here the next picture that I'm showing you is the water distribution when you have an emitter system. In case of a clay soil, the water will have a high water holding capacity but a poor drainage. So the spreading, that means the spacing between the emitters can be wider. But in case of a loamy soil, which is nothing but a red loamy soil, which is typical for arecanut, you will find that the emitters have to be at a typical spacing of 50 to 60 centimeters. And sandy soils, you need to keep it closer, maybe 40 to 50 centimeters or even 30 centimeters. In arecanut, cultural operations that are typically started in October and November, you have to loosen the soil. And if it is a terrace soil, you should prevent soil erosion by the undulation. The undulation part has to be taken care. Next, we'll come to the most important part, that is the selection and management of seedlings. If you want to get a good result, select definitely the proper mother palms. The mother palms showing end bearing palms with very short internodes, using at least 4 bunches. Can I request that person to not disturb? Can you, Samsung, can you unmute? The selection of seeds, the selection of mother plants is very critical, and then followed by that is the selection of seed nuts. You have to select fully tree ripened nuts from the middle of the middle bunch, and heavier nuts will give high germination percentage and produce vigorous seedlings. When you select the seedlings, a good number of seedlings in the main field has to be selected until they are 12 to 18 months old, and they should be selected in such a way that they have the maximum number of leaves, and the maximum height should be selected for the planting, because here is the critical stage where farmers actually don't realize that if you don't select a proper seed material, then the end result, even if you provide irrigation or fertigation, you are not going to get. So here you will have to pay a lot of attention. Then when we want to plant the arecanut, we basically need a nursery. A nursery area of 4,000 square meters and an acre is typically required. You can grow about 5,000 seedlings. You prepare the nursery bed in such a way and you cover the seed nets with sand and irrigate it daily. Germination typically will start 45 days and it will continue up to 3 months. If your good quality seeds have been selected, then definitely you are going to get 90 to 98% germination. After the germination has been done, then you need to transplant these arecanut plants, having a sprout at least having minimum 2 to 3 leaves into the secondary nursery. From the secondary nursery, you will have it in beds of 150 centimeters width and a convenient length in the farm. And don't forget to apply the farmyard manure, because we are all talking of organic fertilization, and farmyard manure of typically 5 tons per hectare will be required as a basal dose. Once this is done, then we have to get the sprouted plants and put it in a spacing of 30 by 30 centimeters and provide shade. Shade can be provided by many plants like banana or gourd, or by artificial, even you can raise a pandal or a covering. Plant banana in advance at a spacing of 2.8 or 2.8 meters as a shade crop. So that is also very critical, because generally what happens, arecanut will take 4 to 5 years when it starts yielding. So in between, what are you going to do? So you will have to have a combination of short-term, mid-term and long-term crops, so that definitely you're going to utilize your area very well. And then definitely to provide irrigation during the hot and dry months, periodical weeding, de-weeding and also mulching, which is a very important practice, is required for moisture conservation. Now in the selection of site and layout, very important to align the rows in the north-south direction. Why should I align the rows in the north-south direction? Because we know that the maximum sunlight will be available, because it's a sun-loving plant and photosynthesis activity cannot happen without sun. So the direction, when you have it in north-south direction, you will get the maximum amount of sunlight. So that is the preferred direction. If you have it in the east-west direction, you are going to have shade. Then field should have proper drainage facilities. It doesn't like water logging. Arecanut does not like water. If you flood and if you have too much of water, definitely the plant is going to rot. So typically a number of field channels are usually trenches are dug in between the rows, which typically, depending on the soil, could be between 25 to 30 centimeters. Arecanut is grown with a variety of spacing, but the commonly adopted spacing is a 9 feet by 9 feet or a 2.8 by 2.8 meters, accommodating around 516 plants per acre. You can also have intercrop with arecanut, which is very, very common. And intercrop could be with banana or it could be with many other crops, which I will be showing you. And the cultivars, if you're having there are certain cultivars which are hybrids, which you can have 2.2 into 2, that is closer. Certain areas now we are even planting 9 feet by 8 feet. So this is basically based on the agroclimatic and the agronomic practices of that area. But generally, you can take it as 2.8 meters by 2.8 meters. The season of planting typically is in September to October, where the monsoon is very severe. In a southwest monsoon, if it is very severe, September to October will be the ideal time. In other areas, generally, when the monsoon starts, that would be recommended. And definitely mulching needs to be done so that you will take care of the planting. These are all the information that has been provided by the CPCRI. They are very good at this arecanut cultivation. Intercropping with arecanut can be done with coffee, can be done with banana, can be done with cocoa. I mean, this is a fantastic crop. I mean, you can see that the intercropping can happen. Banana is the most commonly adopted intercrop. And when can you do the banana interplanting? Right in the beginning. When you want to do black pepper, then the arecanut tree should have grown. Then it should be between 6 to 8 years. If it is a cocoa plant you want interplant, which is very common in Kerala, you will find, or even if you go to the areas of Coorg and other places, typically it is 4 years. And if you want to have citrus in certain areas, they have it as after the 4th year only you can go for the interplanting. But right in the beginning, when you want to have interplanting, banana is the preferred crop. Even coffee can be interplanted. Now let us look at the next topic, that is the water management by micro irrigation in arecanut. Now, when we look at how much water is required for arecanut is a very, very sensitive crop. And what is most important over here is irrigation is very necessary during the dry spells. If you look at the conventionally how it is irrigated once in 7 days during November and December, or once in 6 days during February, or every 4 days during March and May. That is, the farmers generally apply 175 liters of water per plant per palm. This is the way they are applying through flood or through the hose irrigation. Compare this with drip. In drip, an average of 16 to 20 liters only is required, and water is provided, resulting in a saving of over 44% of water compared to flood or hose irrigation. I have given you this chart from the first year till the 5th year. You will find that the yielding starts commencing from the 4th year onwards, and the highest water requirement. So the water requirement varies from 6 liters from the first year, say right up to 18 liters in the month of July, and in the month of May, where the summer is going to be very harsh, it can start from 14 liters right up to 40 liters. So what is this chart trying to tell you? The water requirement of the crop will depend on many factors. How old is the plant? What is the climatic condition of that particular place? What is the soil type? All this will be involved in this calculation, and that is how these ready-made charts are available with Premier Irrigation, and we will be very happy to provide these charts to the farmers in case anyone wants to know about it. Now I am going to teach you a very easy method how to calculate. How did I arrive at this? Now I just told you 21, 22 liters. How did I arrive at this? There is a very simple method, a very, very simple method to calculate the water requirement for arecanut. I told you the arecanut is typically the spacing is 2.8 by 2.8 meters. 1 acre is 4047 square meters. Let us consider that the evapotranspiration, if you refer to my first session, I told you what is evapotranspiration. The water lost by the plant by evaporation from the soil and transpiration through the leaves, that is the total water going out. That water has to be given back at the root zone, and that is called evapotranspiration. And that is, say, I'm taken an average evapotranspiration of, say, 5 millimeters. And if I am assuming a crop factor is a factor which depends on whether it is a wide space crop, which is typically 0.7, and if it is a close space crop, it will be 1. And canopy factor here refers to how much percentage of the canopy or the green cover that is there on the arecanut is covering the total area. So it is very easily calculated. For example, I have showed you over here. The crop area is nothing but the spacing, that is 2.8 by 2.8. The canopy for this 4-year-old plant has almost covered 2.5 by 2.5. So what is the percentage? So 2.5 into 2.5 divided by 2.8 into 2.8, 0.8. That is nothing but 80% of the area has got covered. That is the meaning of the canopy factor. And then you have the spacing. So all you need to do to calculate the water requirement, you need to know what is the evapotranspiration. Of course, 6 millimeters instead of 5, I took 6. And then you can take 0.7 is the crop factor, multiplied by 0.8, which is the canopy factor, and multiplied by the spacing. And don't forget to divide by the efficiency of the system. The efficiency of the system is only 90%. So therefore, we will need to provide 22 liters per palm per day. So it's very easy calculation. All you need to know is that you may ask me, how do I get this evapotranspiration? Evapotranspiration, just go to the Google Play Store. You have many apps which will give you the evapotranspiration of a particular place immediately, just with a click of a button. Once you know the evapotranspiration and you have gone to the field, and you can automatically, this round area is made into a square area, and then you are actually calculating the percentage of area of the canopy that has got covered. So when you calculate, you are arriving at a 22 liters per palm per day. This is an average water requirement. Now, this water requirement that is actually being given to Arakanad, it varies on the various stages: in the nursery stage, in the vegetative stage, in the flowering stage, in the harvesting stage, and it is based on the average. Average, if you look at it, it will be around 20 liters. Now let us look at the another important aspect, which is the installation and maintenance of a micro irrigation system. Now you have actually put in the micro irrigation system, so you have to look after it carefully. So what are the important parts? The installation of a micro irrigation, typically when we have, you have seen the network, the main and pipeline. Let us look at the pipes. The pipe should have ISA mark. It should have the required pressure rating. For example, over here, this is a 75 millimeter pipe, 0.4 MPa. That is a 4 kg pipe, and the pipe is of ISA mark. It is of a good quality like Premier. And then you will have to have the trenches. The trenches have to be dug properly, and the bottom has to be filled with soft soil. Ensure that you don't keep any stones or anything, because if you are going to put your pipelines inside, and if there are stones, they are going to damage your pipelines. The width of the trench typically is going to be 0.6 meters or 2 feet. It will be a 2 feet by 2 feet the depth, so that you don't have any problem in disc flowing, or the disc doesn't cut on your pipe. And again, when you look at the pipeline placement, if there are more number of pipelines coming in the trench, then definitely you will have to have a wider width. Once that has been done, then you will have to lay out your drip lines, insert the lateral lines, put in the emitters at the required points, and completely. Now the system over here is shown with a PVC line, but mind you, PVC line has to get buried, because PVC line, when exposed, will be changing its color. So this is before you actually start the system, open out all the end caps and flush valves and flush it out, and ensure that no debris, because when you drill on the PVC pipe, a lot of PVC small particles will get in. Whatever you drill, that particle will get in, that has to get removed. And it's also a good practice to provide an air release cum vacuum breaker valve, particularly if you are going for subsurface drip irrigation. Ensure that, see here you have the main line, it is getting divided into two sub-main lines. If you put the air release cum vacuum breaker valves, it will ensure that the system is going to have uniform water, and unnecessary collapse of pipes will not be there. Then another important part in the maintenance of the irrigation system is it depends on the type of the filters. I told you that we have a number of filters, and in my first session I had explained to you that we have a basic filter, that is a screen filter, which you are seeing in the bottom, and the screen filters need to be thoroughly cleaned. And whenever there is a borewell water with a minimum silt, we generally go for a screen filter. And if you are having a lot of silt coming in, for example, over here you are seeing it was a borewell, and there is a lot of silt coming in, then we'll need to have a primary filter like a hydrocyclone filter. The water gets in, and because of the spiral centrifugal action, all the particles will get collected. Because if you don't provide this screen filter will get blocked in 10 minutes. So therefore, you need to have an additional filter. So this filtration is both are required, and this cleaning has to be done regularly. Most of the time, farmers don't clean this bottom part. We are actually doing the Krishi Seva, and we have seen that how much of mud and muck has got accumulated. So it's necessary to clean out all the particles that collected. Otherwise, the centrifugal action will not take place and the filtration will not happen correctly. After that, we also have another three-dimensional filter, that is the disc filter. This has got a series of discs, and this is also used for filtering of borewell water. And from Premier, we recommend this particularly if you are going for an inline drip irrigation system. And it is very useful, and there is no chance of any rusting or anything, and it can be opened out. Our disc filter also has a helix at the bottom. So it's a 2-in-1 filter. It not only acts as a screen filter or a disc filter, it also acts with because of the spiraling effect, all the particles will get collected in the bottom. If you have an open water source, then you will need to have one more primary filter that is called as the sand filter. So sand filter basically has silica sand inside it, and the water will go through the silica layers and it will get filtered. And after the sand filter, generally you will have to back it up with a screen filter or a disc filter. So this is very important. And the normal operation for a sand filter is the water flows from top to bottom and gets out from here. And when you want to backflush, when the pressure difference increases more than 0.4 kg, that means the filter has got filled up with organic matter. Then you let reverse the flow of water. That means you have to make the water to go from bottom to the top. So that means here what happens in the normal operation, valve 1 and valve 3 will be opened, and valve 2 and valve 4 will be closed. When you want to backflush, you just do the opposite. You open valve 2 and open valve 4 partially, and valve 1 and valve 3 need to be closed so that the water will get out and all the organic matter will get flushed out over here. Periodically, you have to change the sand. Sand filter, very important. After 2 years, please remove the silica. Initially, the silica is very sharp. Then the sharpness is able to hold on to the algae particles or the organic impurities. As the water flows through it, then these become rounded. So after 2 years, you will have to replace the silica. That is very important. Many filters, when we have visited, we have found that the farmers have not replaced the sand for over 5 years, and the filtering efficiency will come down. And you will come to know in the field because you will have to keep periodically flushing very, very fast. So that is one thing, and you will find that organic impurities are also coming out. So please take a lot of care in the maintenance. Like I always say, you buy a vehicle, it's not enough just you put petrol, you'll have to change the oil, you have to give it for servicing. Similarly, a drip irrigation system, if it has to give you a life of 7 to 10 years, definitely the maintenance of these filters, and they are very simple to do, and you will have to follow it. The next is the chart for the periodic maintenance of the drip irrigation system. The screen or the disc filter should be cleaned daily. Sand filters also need to be cleaned. The backflushing needs to be done daily. When the water is coming out through the drip or the dripper lines, we'll have to check for any leakages or anything. That also has to be done daily. Flushing of the drip lines, there are 3 stages. One, the minute you commission the system, like I told you, we keep all the end caps and the flush valve open, ensure all the particles that have been got into the system are removed out. Then every 15 days, you'll have to clean because if there is any breakage or anything in the pipeline that would have got collected, and the flush valve outlets will ensure that everything is cleaned out. And whenever you do an acid treatment, which is required for the maintenance, that time also you will have to do the flushing system. And also the most important part, which is often neglected, is the acid treatment. We have provided all filters to take care of the impurities that are there, that is the physical impurity. But what about the chemical impurities that will come on the dripper and block it? So that has to be removed only by acid treatment. And typically hydrochloric acid is used. Or if you want to use phosphoric acid, that is also recommended, because phosphoric acid is not only will clean the system, it is also a very good water soluble fertilizer. So this has to be done periodically once in 3 months or even earlier if the, for example, if the pH of the water is more than 7 or 7.5. Now let us look at some of this is the last part of my presentation. We can look at the installation photographs where you will understand how the drip crops have come for the Aracanut. So this first photograph is the micro irrigation for Aracanut, where we have provided 2 emitters per plant. So you can see how uniform the system. This is our installations which we have done in Shimoga. You can see how uniformly the plants are coming. So this is the advantage. You see the whole area is left dry. We are giving water exactly where it is. So we always tell the ratio of drip versus to flood. So if I have water that is enough to cover for 1 acre by flood, I can irrigate 3 acres by drip. So you can actually see it happening over here. You can see how well that the micro irrigation is going right at the root zone. So this is an online drip irrigation system photograph. The next is there are certain areas which have a lot of salt content. In such areas, we can even provide 2 microtubes. That is also practiced in many of the farmers. And this is another field where we have provided sprinklers. Sprinkler irrigation system has been provided over here, and sprinkler irrigation system also. And you can see the trenches over here. This trench is actually when you have a lot of water seepage and other things, if there is excessive rainfall, then these trenches are required so that the water does not stagnate along the bed. This is another very interesting. We have provided the inline drip irrigation system, a double inline drip irrigation system for a farm very close to Bangalore. And this is using a German method called Kutlow farming. And we have provided a double inline drip irrigation system. Premier irrigation has both the cylindrical inline drip irrigation system and the flat inline drip irrigation system. You can see this particular is got completely mulched with hay, and the whole area can be irrigated, and the You can look at the kind of things. So you can grow all vegetables and other crops in between. So this particular, they are totally doing organic in this farm, and there is no chemicals being used. So organic farming, and the irrigation, that is the moisture that is required, is being given by the help of these two paired drip lines. Thank you very much for the opportunity given. My name is Vijay Kumar. I am the AGM Technical Services and Premier Irrigation. If you have any queries related to irrigation, kindly feel free to contact Premier Irrigation. My mobile number is also given, and I would again thank agricultureinformation.com for having provided this opportunity. And thank you very much, and wish you a happy Ganesha and Gauri festival.
Thank you, Mr. Vijay, for the detailed presentation. Now I'll take up some questions.
I'll stop sharing here.
Yeah. Okay. Let me take the questions from the participants who are currently in Zoom. I'll just call out the names. Mr. Pawan Shinde. You can unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, I'll move to next Mr. Gopal Modak. Mr. Chidanand. Okay, Mr. Pankaj Rawat. Participants, you can just unmute yourself if you have any questions. You can feel free and start asking questions. Yeah, Mr. Gopal, you can ask. Okay. I'll just take up the question from our side.
Okay.
So, first question is, what are the main advantages of using micro irrigation for arecanut cultivation?
The main advantage, as I already outlined to you, was the saving in water and the increase in yield. These are the two main advantages, and whatever water is available for 1 acre, with the help of micro irrigation, we can go up to 3 acres with the drip and 2 acres with sprinkler. And the yield increase that has been there is fantastic. And today, arecanut particularly is a very high yielding and a high cash crop. And with micro irrigation, the results have been very, very encouraging, and farmers are gaining a lot of profits in the farm. In fact, it is from moving from the Malnad areas even to the plain areas, like you can in around Bangalore, Tumkur, many areas which are not conventionally where you have arecanut planting, people have started going for arecanut.
Okay. And how does micro irrigation help in conserving water resources compared to traditional methods?
So micro irrigation is known, and like I told you, micro irrigation is the conserving method. So basically, you are applying water directly to the root zone without wasting any water. Whereas flood irrigation, you are wasting the water in conveyance, you are wasting the water in leaching. So that way, it helps. It goes a long way in not only in moisture conservation, also in environmental protection, and even recycled water. For example, if you go to many places today, recycled water is being used for gardens all over the place. For example, the Brindavan Gardens, which is there in Mysore, we have provided the entire irrigation system through the micro irrigation system. And if you go to many places, or if you visit a country like Israel, 90% of the water is recycled and everything is passed through the micro irrigation only.
Okay. And are there any best practices for scheduling irrigation in arecanut cultivation using micro irrigation?
The scheduling, like I told you, I had given you the chart. Today we have, of course, a number of methods. Like, for example, you can definitely go in for soil water tensiometers and soil tensiometers, or you can go even for the Internet of Things. That is, you can completely link this thing to the mobile based automation. So that way you can have a lot of interventions over here. This is actually moving because this is a crop where the return on the crop is good, and farmers wouldn't mind investing in all these additional things that are there, except that you have to maintain these systems very well.
Okay. And are there any weather-based or soil moisture sensors that can be integrated with micro irrigation system for better efficiency?
Yes, there are many soil moisture tensiometers and soil moisture reading, and even to the extent of even monitoring the nitrogen content and even looking at the exact based on the evapotranspiration of that area. So irrigation scheduling can be done very well. And like I told you, like how a child grows, becomes a young, and then from the youngster, it becomes an adult. So just like that, the plant also requires water, different quantities of water at different stages. So we should not be drip irrigating with the same quantum all the time. So then it becomes a wrong method of doing irrigation. We'll have to give irrigation based on the stage or the growth of the plant. So accordingly, the scheduling chart is being given, and this can be integrated with the help of the automated system.
Okay. And yeah, what are the key factors to consider when designing a micro irrigation system for Arecanut farms?
Yeah, it's a very good question. In fact, the key factors that you have to look into is what is the kind of area that you want to cover, what is the soil type that is involved, carry out a GPS survey, then get into the kind of planting that you want to have, what is the planting spacing you want to have, and what is the pump that is available over there. Main thing will be the water availability in the part, the entire thing. How much do you have enough water to irrigate the whole area in one go, or in will have. So Premier Irrigation will provide you consultancy and also design consultancy. We will visit your farm, carry out a GPS survey, and have the entire the area to be hydraulically designed. And based on the hydraulic design, we will ensure that water to each and every plant will not have a variation of more than 5% in the field. So that is the level to which we'll have to provide not only irrigation, even fertigation, because fertigation is the bigger benefit along with irrigation, because we can apply the water soluble fertilizers or all these things, and terrain and other things we have to take care. And it is a heavy rainfall intensive area. Definitely you have to take care of the drainage part of it. And also, like I told you, the soil type is also very important. Mulching is a very important part because moisture conservation, but over excessive moisture is very determinant for Arecanut.
Okay. And are there any government subsidies or programs that support the adoption of micro irrigation in agriculture?
Yeah, in the conventional areas, the government of India provides micro irrigation in the Malnad areas. In the non-conventional areas, definitely subsidy is not there. But then from Premier Irrigation, we can provide you what are called as non-subsidy products. We can give you the economical products for which subsidy may not be available, but these are reasonably priced. And because now what is happening, Arecanut is spreading all over, and subsidy is provided by the government only for the certain districts in each particular state. For example, in Karnataka, it is in the Malnad areas. So if you are going to grow Arecanut in a non-conventional area, you will not get subsidy, but you will have to buy the system paying cash only, in which case we have very affordable systems which are called non-subsidy products, and they are very economical, and they'll give you a good life also.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. What is the typical return on investment for farmers who switch to micro irrigation?
The return on investment will depend on the type of crop. See, now if you are going to have only Arecanut, the return on investment is going to be longer. If you are going to have Arecanut with banana, if you are going to have Arecanut with other intercrops, then definitely the return from the 4th year itself, it will start yielding, and within the 5th or 6th year itself, you are going to break even and start making a profit. I know farmers who make an average profit of over 3 to 4 lakhs per acre after the 5th year.
Okay. And could you explain the maintenance requirements for micro irrigation system?
Yeah, I think I had explained in very detail. So the maintenance part is a very critical part. We all think that we bought a system, just put it on, switch it on, and then it will work. No, because we have taken care of only the physical impurities that are there with the filtration system. It is very important to ensure that the periodic maintenance chart, we give you a maintenance schedule, and the government of India also ensures that all companies who are under the scheme should have to give the maintenance for 3 years free of cost to the farmers. And we will also, from our company, we have the Krishi Seva services by which we will be providing the maintenance, and any kind of troubleshooting, we will definitely get in touch, and we have a total extension team that will take care of the after sales part of it. And the maintenance part is actually very simple. Mainly, like I told you, the filters have to be cleaned regularly, the dripper lines have to be inspected, and the end caps have to be cleaned out. And once in every 3 months or 6 months, you'll have to do the acid treatment. And if you are adopting phosphoric acid as a fertilizer, then even that will be automatically part of your system, and even that problem will not be there. Today, now, maintenance of micro irrigation system, most farmers know about it, and they also know how to maintain it. But nevertheless, from Premier, we will be very happy to help them out, because this is the single most area where farmers do require our help, and we conduct periodical farmer training programs and farmer meetings where we will explain how to do the asset treatment and asset cleaning.
Okay. And can you share success stories or case studies of Arcanet farmers who have benefited from adopting micro irrigation technologies?
Yeah, there are many farmers who are there in our in Premier Irrigation. Many of our farmers have, in fact, if you visit our website and in YouTube, and definitely you can see many of the success stories, and they have in fact given you all the statistics that I was telling you. There are many YouTube live cases of farmers. You kindly visit our website www.pil.in and YouTube channel when you visit over there, and we have over 80 videos that are there, which will talk about yields, not only just for Arcanet, for many crops. You can have the direct farmer interaction that is there.
Okay. And can you recommend specific micro irrigation systems suitable for small scale Arcanet farms? Farms, I mean.
Yeah, small scale farmers actually, like I told you, Arcanet, even if it's a small area, irrigation becomes critical. We can provide low cost irrigation systems also. If it is an area with not having any power, we also have what is called as a drum kit or a gravity kit, where the water is stocked in a small tank, and from the tank you can apply the water through the drip lines. These are very economical. They don't cost much. But these are for smaller areas. But generally, like I told you, we have the systems available in the subsidy program as well as the systems available in the off the subsidy program, and we have tailor-made. We can give you a product which will last you. You tell us that duration, like you want a system that will last you for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. We have products which can last you for 1 season, 2 season, 3 season, or 5 years, or even 8 years. So basically, we have a full spread of or a suite of products that are there for various economical criteria of the farmer, because we understand that the small and marginal farmer is the most affected, and definitely he needs to be given. And the subsidies are there, but otherwise, if the subsidies are not there, we have the economical products.
Hello.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Please proceed. Mr. Chidanand, you can ask your question.
Thank you, sir. Having a very good presentation regarding Arcanet, sir.
Thank you, Gugri. Very happy that you could join the meeting today. Very happy.
Okay. Mr. Chidanand, you don't have any question?
No, madam. Nothing.
Okay. Other participants, Mr. Sandeep Arya, Ravi Kumar, Mr. Rakesh, and Rakesh Verma, Rakesh Kumar.
They can always contact me, madam. There is no problem.
Mr. Dharmendra Thakre.
Yeah, please.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Rakesh, you can ask. Okay. Mr. Sandeep, you can ask your question.
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, other participants, if you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll wind up the meeting. I guess nobody has any further questions. Okay, Mr. Vijay. So
there is a voice break, I think.
I don't see any more questions.
I think your voice is breaking, madam.
So now we have come to end of question round on behalf of other perspective. Okay.
Right. Thank you very much, madam. Thank you very much for the opportunity provided.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining this meeting. The meeting will now be closed.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you.